we're on week 11 of the Mike Ferry sales system on handling objections. And I want to get right to the point because I've written down a series of thoughts that are really important in this process of handling objections. I think probably the most important thing that we can look at today is to differentiate between an objection, a question in the mind of the customer that remains unanswered, and a condition, which is a statement of fact you can do nothing about. Okay, now watch this. A condition. A buyer says, the market's hot. I got a raise in pay. I want to buy a new house. Great. How much do you want to pay for your new house? Well, we understand that interest rates are low. We want to spend $1 million. Great. My mind lights up. 3% commission, $1 million. Put them in the car. Let's go. And in the car, you very casually say, so what kind of down payment do you want to make? Well, I want to buy it VA. I don't want to put a down payment. I want to get a no money down. Any reality there? Of course not. That's a condition. Oh, by the way, what kind of work you do? I'm a fry cook at McDonald's. But I'm a supervisor, so I'm making now $11 an hour. Hello? Any reality there? See, there are certain conditions. My standard line for the last 20 years is, I think the best job that I could ever get would be to be the center for the Los Angeles Lakers. There's only a couple minor conditions that get in the way, starting with my height, my age, my experience, and my lack of talent. Outside of that, so we have to really get clear on the fact that there are conditions, which are statements of fact you can do nothing about. Now, however, an objection that you receive, it's a question in the mind of the customer that remains unanswered. What is the job of a great salesperson? To answer all of the questions they have so they can make an intelligent decision to decide to list with you versus somebody else. But you see, every seller is going to give an objection if we're not strong in the presentation. So let me give you the critical point I think we have to look at today. I wrote it this way. There's a direct correlation between the amount of objections I receive and the strength and quality of my presentation. Remember 2 weeks ago? Upgrade, 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 upgrade. Remember that conversation? And I have to tell you, I'm doing in May and June 2 3-hour seminars a day, 4 days a week, which I'm doing all over California, Nevada, Arizona. I'll do the same thing in August, September, October on the East Coast. Now watch this, guys and gals. I'm still seeing people show up at a listing seminar with me wearing shorts and golf shirts. What are you thinking about? What kind of an image is that? How is that possibly going to persuade a seller? Well, Mike, you know, we live in Las Vegas, it's hot. I think you do your listing presentations indoors. I think you'll be okay. Folks, there's a direct correlation between the quality and strength of what I say, how I appear, how I present, and the objections I get. Do you know why most realistic people get objections? Because they're trying to get rid of you. They know you can't answer them. See, instead of saying, you look like a bum, get out, they say things like, I got a friend in the business. And you go, you do? And they say it because you're sitting there in your t-shirt and your shorts, or you're sitting there in your jeans down to your butt. With holistic people get objections because they're trying to get rid of you. So you can't answer them. See, instead of saying, you look like a bum, get out, they say things like, I got a friend in the business. And you go, you do? And they say it because you're sitting there in your t-shirt and your shorts, or you're sitting there in your jeans down to your butt with holes in the knees because you think you're cool, or you got your pyramid haircut on for the day. That doesn't work, guys and gals. Watch, knowing what to say is the name of the game. And if you know what to say, we've talked about it for 3 weeks, if you know what to say, they nod their head and they agree. But if you don't know what to say, I want you to cut your commission. I've got a friend in the business. I want to raise the price. All the objections you get all the time. Watch, strength and quality of presentation. People say to me all the time, you know, I don't think I like your presentation style. To which I say, I don't care. Because, well, actually, you're going to love this. I had somebody walk up last week in a seminar at the break and say, now, Mr. Ferry, I don't like you. And I said, well, we're even. She didn't know what to say to that. Watch, she didn't like my presentation. If you use a strong presentation, are sellers going to generally be on your side, yes or no? The answer is yes. And you walk in like a wimp. Hi, I'm so happy to be here, and you know, I really want the listing, and I worked real hard. Watch, they're going to blow you out the front door. It's the quality and strength of the presentation that gets the listing. But Mike, it's not my style. Well, then make it your style. Watch, it's acting. That's what presenting is. You're acting, you're an actor, you're an actress, you're portraying an image. That is the quality and strength of presentation. It eliminates objections. When I did this role play a few weeks ago for Jeff and Fafi Moore's company, I actually had to remind the seller to give me an objection because my presentation was so strong. We'd written in big, big words in front of them, bring up the commission objection. And I finally said, now, are you guys okay with the commission? And the guy went, well, that's right. I had to remind him to bring up the objection because my presentation was strong enough. They didn't want to give me any objections whatsoever. I want you to think about this. There's a direct correlation between the quality and strength of the presentation and the amount of objections you get. You can eliminate them almost 100% by being better at what you are, which goes back to last week's conversation. Are you practicing all the time? And then I wrote down the next point. Listen, blinding flash of the obvious. Since objections never change, maybe we should learn the answers. There's only 5 or 6 objections a seller will ever give in their lifetime to an agent. Why don't we learn the answers? Because we're not salespeople. Salespeople know what to say. Salespeople know how to respond. A seller says to me, Mike, I want you to cut the commission. No. Any other questions? Well, why won't you cut the commission? I don't do that. Any other questions? No, if you're strong and you approach it that way, you can either move on or get out. Either one's okay. I don't care if I have to leave because of this. There's other sellers that need my service. I have to feel that strongly about myself to handle the objections I get. And then, of course, I wrote down, if you keep working every week at strengthening the presentation itself, you keep moving sellers closer to your side. Question that came up last week from one of you, and I don't know who wrote it. I should be able to mention your name. One of you sent me an email. If I start working on this listing presentation, how long is it going to take to get good? I said, well, how long are you planning on staying in real estate? Well, forever. I said, good, it'll take that long. Because see, great professionals are always improving. They don't just suddenly get there. A great actor doesn't arrive one day. A great baseball player doesn't one day become a star. It takes time. Watch, and it takes a long time. Are you willing to invest the next 3 to 5 years learning how to become the best agent there is? And is your income and productivity going to go up all the time because of it? The answer is yes. Learn your presentation skills, because as you strengthen them, the objections become less and less, and the seller moves more to your side. And then I wrote down next, the truth is, if you pre-qualify properly, you're hardly going to get any objections at all. Why? Because see, if you go back to the pre-qualifying from several weeks ago, as you ask the pre-qualifying questions, you draw the objections out. And as the objections are drawn out, and you're actually going ahead and concentrating on what the seller says, you're building the answers, listen, you're building the answers into the first part of your presentation. So when you first sit down, you're going to start answering the objections they gave you during pre-qualifying. And they won't come up again. See, they're just going to magically disappear because you've handled it openly without ever saying, you said to me this. When you walk in on your presentation and you know what they're going to say and you start to answer it in advance, they go, wow, this guy knows what I'm thinking about. I'm impressed. They forgot they've already told you. And then, of course, I wrote down next, you're going to love this one. Handling objections is primarily mind over matter. Mind over matter. People say to me, what does that mean? Well, you have to remove the fears you have, which is a mindset problem, versus the actual objection you get, which is the matter. And you can remove the fears by practicing and learning and strengthening your presentation and knowing the answers to the objections and pre-qualifying. See, if you'll go through that process, it is mind over matter. I believe there is no seller that I can ever sit down with that is actually motivated to sell that I can't list. I believe that. Mind over matter. Well, did you list 100%? No. But I have to walk in believing they're going to list with me. That's mind over matter. I believe there's not an objection they can give me that I can't handle. That's mind over matter. Or do you walk in saying, oh gosh, I hope they don't bring up commission, because if they do, I'm beat. That's the lack of mind being convinced by the matter. I wrote down, don't try to handle the objections during pre-qualifying because you'll have plenty of time on the presentation. Pre-qualifying is just to discover stuff. Their motivation, their price, how much they owe, the type of home it is, the condition of the property. Pre-qualifying is just to discover stuff. Don't try to handle the objections on the phone because you're not making your listing presentation on the phone. So let's summarize. I wrote down, there's a series of rules that I would recommend, and I'm going to suggest you take these, write them down on a 3x5 card. There's only 6 short rules. Carry it in your pocket. Review it, review it, review it, review it. Okay, watch rule number 1. Never argue when you get an objection. Always agree. Never argue. What are the odds of you winning an argument with a seller and getting the contract signed? Well, I proved that seller was wrong, so there. Did they list with you? Well, no, but that's not the point. Oh, I see. So you get paid a lot of money for finishing second? I don't think so. Rule number 2, smile, nod your head a lot. As they talk to you, just keep smiling at them. Greatest way to break down any defense is through a smile. Rule number 3, ask a lot of questions. Go back to the listing presentation. The whole listing presentation is questions. Rule number 4, hey, listen to the answers. See, in pre-qualifying, if you listen to the answers, guess what? You know what you have to say when you walk in the door. Answer the objection if necessary. Most of the time it's not. And then remember, no matter what happens, keep moving forward in your presentation. It is so critical. So I wrote down some homework assignments for today. You're going to love number 1. I've never heard this before. Continue role-playing and practicing your presentation once a day. But look at number 2. Write down the toughest objections on a 3x5 card. Review and practice the answers every day. And then I'm going to suggest this, and I know some of you are going to laugh when I say it. Buy a little mirror about this big and put it on your desk in your office. And then as you're working, practice smiling, because it breaks down all the fears and all the resistance and all the defenses sellers have when you practice smiling. Oh, by the way, did you buy an upfront seat for the retreat? Well, no, maybe I should say, oh, by the way, are you coming to the retreat? It's less than a month away. Upfront seats went on sale last week. They're sold out. This week, we're going to sell what we call our executive club. If you register for the retreat, watch for the announcement on the executive club. Remember, it's okay with me if you decide, because you're so good from following our system, to buy an extra ticket and give it to a friend in the office to come to the retreat. And by the way, are you going to be staying at the MGM Grand Hotel or across the street at Hooters, where you can get a room for $49 a night? If you're staying at Hooters and you're a guy, don't tell your wife where you're staying. Better tell you're at the MGM Grand. Just kidding. Have a great week. See you next week.
I'd like to this week spend a little bit of time on a common problem that most agents face. We get a lead, we follow up effectively, we set an appointment, we pre-qualify. We go out and do the best job we can do, whether it be a buyer or seller, to present to them the property they're trying to buy and or why they should list with us. We're very passionate about it. You feel good. You've made a great presentation. And then they give you 2 or 3 objections, which is like a slap in the face sometimes. And often, even the best agents are caught off guard. Now, I want to spend a little time today, and I've got a list of thoughts here for you on handling objections that I think can help you when these things come up. First of all, I want to say to you the most important thing I can say to you. If you sit down and take the last 12, 18 months of your career, or if you're new to the business, find 2 or 3 agents that have been successful in the last 12, 18 months of their career. And I want you to make a list, put buyer on one side, seller on the other. And I want you to make a list of the common objections that you receive when you're out showing property to a buyer, or the common objections you receive when you're out working with a potential seller. Because the truth is, there are just a handful of common objections. I have shared for 43 years this very brief short story. My broker, Pat McVeigh, incredible guy, passed away last year, unfortunately. Patrick McVeigh walks into my office, my first week in the business, takes out a piece of paper, hands it to me. Said, look at that paper. I said, yes, sir. It said common objections from a seller. And he had listed, 7 or 8 common objections. I want to think it over. Got a friend in the business. I want to compare companies. I want a higher price. I want you to cut your commission. I want to give you a shorter listing. Common objections the sellers give. I said, okay, thank you. All right, memorize an answer between now and next week when I see you again. I said, where do I get the answers? He said, find out from people in the office or make one up. Well, I went around the office and I said, okay, here's the objection. Give me an answer. And they all looked at me. They had that blank stare. Nice people, good agents, but blank stares. So I started making up my own answers to these objections. That was 45 years ago. Pat walks in the next week. Give me the list. I hand it to him. He said, all right, I want you to cut the commission. I smiled and said, no. Any other questions? He said, no. I said, sign the contract, please. He goes, okay. All right, Mike, I've got an objection here. I've got a friend in the business. You know, almost everybody does. May I ask, why did you not list with your friend? And why am I here? I assume it's because you want to get the home sold. Is that correct? Yes, I do. Sign the contract so I can start. So I made up answers. They weren't the best answers. They're certainly better trainers with better answers. But my answers were direct, understandable, simple, to the point, and common sense. So the first thing I want you to do when it comes to handling objections is make the two lists, buyers and sellers' common objections. And inside the Mike Ferry Organization Network, inside our website, we have all the answers printed for you to download and read, role play and practice, learn the answers, memorize, make them part of who you are, because the catch is, in handling objections, so much of it is the confidence that you display. The confidence you display. They look at you and say, well, we like what you've had to say today, Mike, and we think you're a pretty good agent, but the agent last night said they would do it for less money. Will you cut your commission? And without hesitation, I smile and say, no. Any other questions? And they said, well, why won't you do it? I said, because I don't do that. Any other questions? Well, no. Sign the contract. And what's interesting is the confidence I display gets them to sign the contract. So the most important thing I can say to you is learn the objections, learn the answers, the confidence goes up, and you will get more contracts signed. Now, some of you are going to say, it can't be that easy. Well, you're right. If you say to yourself, it can't be that easy, I will guarantee you it's not going to be that easy. I've lasted 43 and a half years training real estate people how to sell real estate because I make things simple, direct, to the point, and it's common sense. And my competitors will give you pages of answers this long. Simple objection, I want you to cut the commission. They'll give you 7 paragraphs to repeat back. When the truth is, do you want to cut your commission? And the answer is no. Well, then tell them no. Any other questions? But you see, if you don't have the confidence in your response, you can't handle the problem. So I wrote down a couple thoughts here. I wrote down, an objection is a question in the mind of the customer that remains unanswered. Answer the question. Watch. I want you to cut your commission. Answer, no. Any other questions? Well, yes, the agent last night said they would do it. May I ask you why you didn't list with them since they were here? Well, we wanted to compare what you're doing to what they do. Well, let me ask you this question. Is there any comparison between what I offer and they offer? No, yours is much better. Great, can I make you a great deal? What's that? I am willing to work for free for the next 30, 60, 90, 180 days. How would you like if I work for free on the sale of your property? Well, how does that work? Well, how much commission do you pay me when we start? Well, I don't pay you anything. Good. So I'm going to work for free. I'm going to take all the risk in this transaction by working for free. But I'd like to ask this favor. When it sells, would you pay me the commission I've earned? Well, of course. Sign the contract. Let's start. Simple, common sense. A question in the mind of the customer that remains unanswered. Versus, I wrote down, a condition is a statement of fact that you cannot do anything about, so move on. I want $1 million for my house. Well, I showed you all the comps, and the comps are all at 750. Doesn't matter, I want $1 million. If I can't get $1 million, I'm not going to sell. Well, guess what? You're not going to sell. Okay, that's the statement of fact you can't change. Well, why do you want $1 million? Because I owe $975. You owe $975 on a house that's only worth $650. Yeah, I kind of got over mortgaged. I can't help you, thank you, and leave. See, here's what we got to get clear in our minds, and I want you to listen to this. There's a direct correlation between the amount of objections I receive and the strength and quality of the confidence you show in your presentation. You show confidence. Now, if you've been to my seminars in the past, often people in the audience will challenge me with objections, and I allow that, and I like the participation. And then people go, oh my God, Mike is so great. They brought an objection and he slammed them right back and he got the contract signed. Well, I have the confidence to do the job because I know what needs to be said and asked next. All right, I wrote down this really important thought. Keep working on strengthening the presentation as a method of not only bringing the seller to your side, but eliminating objections. Watch. People want to pay less because they don't see value. The higher the value in what you say, the more they're willing to pay. You know that. You buy things and pay this price because you see value. But you see something else, you only want to pay this price. Why? Because you don't see the value. People will pay for the value they see. Provide the highest value and they pay you the commission you want. And then I wrote down, you don't have to get objections on a regular basis if you pre-qualify last week's conversation and you follow the scripts we give you very carefully. You don't have to get a lot of objections. You get objections because we're not sure of the motivation. We're not sure of what they're trying to accomplish. We haven't asked, what do you want for the property and what do you owe? We haven't asked, where are you moving to and how soon do you have to be there? But you ask those questions and then you find out the motivation, the problem that you can solve. And then I wrote down this simple thought, and this would be the last thought. Handling objections is primarily mind over matter. When we remove the fears we have about learning the answers and practicing them daily, our mindset gets strong and we can go out and deal with the public virtually every day. I'm excited about what you can do in November and December. I'm excited about the questions that you forward throughout the course of the week. Keep up that good communication. But I'm most excited about the fact that you can build within yourself a strong, confident, productive, profitable professional real estate sales agent. We're here to help. Let us help. By the way,
hey, we're going to work on handling 5 of the most common objections you receive. Now, it's going to be a little bit different. I've asked my friend Ryan Jono. Ryan, get over here. Ryan has been with our company since the very beginning, and not only is he a salesperson, and today he helps do sales training for our nearly 90 salespeople. So Ryan is going to give me the objections. I'm going to handle the objections, and it's giving you an opportunity to listen, to watch, to observe. And you know, I'm not going to get into all the patterns. We've certainly covered that enough times on the Tom Ferry Show. You should go back to tomferry.com, search in the blog objection handling if you're not familiar with the patterns. So, Ryan, you got your list?
Yes, I do.
Let's do some objections, buddy. Have at it. So what's number 1?
I have some friends that said they could do the same thing for a lower commission.
Yes. So there's certainly a number of agents in town that will reduce their fee in order to earn your business. I'm curious, and I'm going to open up my laptop. Could you give me one of the friends' names as an example? Because I think it's important that we look at their track record and my track record, not just commissions, which are always variable. So tell me the first person's name.
Nate Secor.
Great. And I type in that person's name into Zillow or into the MLS, and I say, Ryan, Nate's a terrific person. He's sold 3 houses so far this year. Let me show you mine again. As you see, we've done 37 transactions this year. Now, why is that important to you, Ryan? 3 versus 37.
I would say you probably have a lot more experience.
Well, and in the world of experience, when it comes to negotiating the highest possible price for your home, 3 or 37. Nate's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's a friend. He's a pal. I mean, look, how quickly did he give up commission points of percentage to you? How fast did he do it? I mean, did you really have to hit him hard? Did you have to wrestle with him? Did you have to rely on your years of history and relationship? Or did you say, we're friends, can you give me a little discount?
The later.
And he quickly gave you a discount?
Yes.
3 transactions a year. 37 transactions a year. On the other hand, I fight actively and aggressively to serve my customer, to get them the highest possible price. I've talked people out of selling their home if it didn't make sense, because I do it a lot. Does that make sense?
Totally.
So if this was just about getting a discount, everybody can do that. You called me because you saw my marketing, you saw my signs, you went on Zillow, you saw my track record, you saw the number of homes I said, and you wanted to shop and compare what I'm doing versus what your friend's doing.
Yeah.
So what are the differences?
You seem a lot better.
Nate's a wonderful guy. He sells houses. We just sell, in this case, nearly 11 times more. And all that means is we built a machine to service more customers, and I get to negotiate more often. So just like if you were going to, heaven forbid, take a loved one to a surgeon, right? If you had to perform the surgery, you're probably going to pick the one that does it, 16 times a week versus the person that does it, 3 or 4 times a year. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Even though they might both be great surgeons, most people say, I want to go with the person that's doing it all the time because they're fresh, they're in the market, they know exactly what they're doing, and they've had enough challenging circumstances to rise above it and solve the problem. This time, Ryan, is exactly like that time. Make sense?
Totally.
So we charge 3% for our services. The question we have to ask tonight is, what do you want to offer to the other side? And that's the direction I would basically go. So that's a long answer, and I hope you picked up on, it's a metaphor. Now, what if Nate is selling the same number of homes as me, right? Yeah. So let's play that scenario out. I think that'd be fair, right? So we're both doing 15 deals a year. Hey, your buddy Nate's doing 15 transactions a year. I'm doing 15 transactions a year. So here's my question for you. Let's look into it a little bit deeper.
Okay.
Nate has done so far this year 11 buyer-controlled sales. That's outstanding. And he's had 4 listings sold. I've had 13 listings sold and 2 buyer-controlled sales. In the real estate business, one of the questions you have to ask yourself is, are you hiring a listing agent or are you hiring someone to represent you on the buy side? Sounds like you should hire Nate to help represent you on the buy side and me to help you on the sell side, just based upon the numbers. What do you think?
That totally makes sense, actually.
Yeah, so right, I'm gonna give example after example. Now look, whether you're using your MLS, you're using Zillow, you're using some other strategy to look at people's numbers, let's play the game if he won't give me his friend. Let's do that, right? So, so Ryan, I appreciate the fact that your friend would give you a discount. There's lots of people in the marketplace that will dramatically reduce their commissions all the time to win the business. Do you mind if I ask, because I like to look at the data, who's your friend?
Tom, I just don't feel comfortable kind of giving my friend out.
Sure, that's fine, that's fine. So here's my question for you. I charge 3%, and for that, I do all of this marketing. And my current list to sell ratio, I list it here, and I'm right now at 101% of my list to sale price. I've had 2 expired listings this year. Everything else has sold at or above, on average, list price. What about your friend?
Not quite at that level.
Okay. Yeah. So everybody's got a friend in the business. I actually used to say for a long time, if you didn't have a friend in real estate in our town, you probably didn't have any friends.
Yeah.
So I guess I'd also ask, why is it that your friend is so readily discounting their commission? Like why? Like did you have to really hit him hard to get him to do it, or did you just say, we're friends, would you do me a favor? And they said yes. Yeah,
he's a good friend of mine, and I've known him for a long time, and so he said, Ryan, I was going to give you a break, because you're my buddy.
Sure, cool. So here's the general challenge with that. Someone that will readily discount their commission that quickly, just because they're a friend, or a friend of a friend, or a friend of a friend of a friend, or you're referred by a buddy, someone that gives it up that quickly, my concern is, how rigorous will they attack your bottom line when it's time to negotiate the final sales price and the terms of your property? I'm a little more rigorous. People even say it to me at times, Tom, you're a little militant, right? You're maybe a little too tough. I've had sellers say to me, Tom, it's okay, we'll accept the deal, because I get in there and I fight so hard to help my clients win, because that's just my sense of pride. Does that make sense?
Totally.
So between the two of us, based on that new information, who's the best person for you to hire?
Yeah, I think I would be more comfortable having you represent my house.
Right? So again, I'm gonna win every time, no matter what. And I think we're all clear as you're watching this, there's a number of different ways that you can attack every objection. I don't always have all of the context, so I'm gonna try and hit it from a couple different points of view, looking to bring you more value. So what's number 2?
Number 2 is, we had a specific number that we wanted to get the home sold for.
I know, Ryan. And when we went through all of the sales and all of the expireds and all the pending prices and all the homes that are closed recently, I want to get every one of my clients hundreds of thousands of dollars more. But see, Ryan, I'm not buying the house, right? My job is to market and expose your home to the highest number of quality agents and buyers, online and offline, to create a frenzy of opportunities to people that want to write offers to ideally drive the price up. So here's the challenge. It really doesn't matter what you want, right? Like when you go out to go buy your next home, are you going to basically look at every one of the prices and say, you know what, I'm going to give them even more?
No.
How are you going to start your negotiations?
I'm going to try to get the best deal possible.
And don't you think every other buyer on the planet is thinking the same thing?
Yes.
So you know what we actually do? We actually, in this case, go to a 3 pricing strategy. So let me educate you on this. And I'm sorry I didn't bring it up in the first place. I believe that most agents have one approach to listing a property. They see the seller, they look at the comps, and they say, what do you think?
Yeah.
And the seller says, I like this price, but I want more, right? Every seller wants more, wants less commission, do it in the quickest amount of time possible, make it as stress-free as possible, right?
Yeah.
I actually have 3 different approaches. I say to you, here's the needle in the haystack price, where I say, let's go slightly above the last comp. And the reason why is you've got a beautiful home, it's in a desirable neighborhood, you know, the likelihood of selling this home is pretty high, right? And you know that and I know that.
Yeah.
So that's one option. Pricing option number 2 is we go right at fair market value. And what the studies are showing, right, and I can show you some examples of this, is in our marketplace, when we list it at fair market value, we're gonna have a few offers within the first 30 days. Because the home is desirable and it's in a great community. If it was an outlier property, if the home wasn't as nice, that wouldn't happen. Does that make sense?
Totally.
But my most savvy clients will say to me, Tom, I want to list it there, but I understand that, you know, that needle in the haystack pricing strategy is probably not the ideal strategy because of your timing.
Yes.
Right? If you said to me, sell it in the next 6 months, we can go needle in the haystack. But you told me you wanted to be moved in the next 120 days.
Yes.
So I've got to market it, expose it, get the people inside here, get some offers going, get some negotiations happening, close the property, giving you guys enough time so you don't have to make a double move, right?
Yeah, totally.
So consider the following. The 3rd pricing strategy is where we actually list it directly below fair market value. Now, you've seen auctions before, right?
Yes.
And you know do you know the general, like how auctions work?
Yeah, totally.
They never come in and say, let's go to the highest possible price and drop it down. What do?
They go to the lowest.
The lowest price.
And go up.
And as they go up, what happens?
The kind of frenzy goes up higher.
The frenzy goes up higher, the non-real buyers drop off,
Yes.
and you identify the 2 or 3 ones, and in a perfect world, what you create is, what's that phrase called? A bidding
war.
A bidding war.
Yes.
So what we might want to consider, and I can actually show you some examples of how we've done this in the past, where we priced it below fair market value. We throw a mega open house, and I mean, I'm going to get, you know, 150 potential buyers and agents the following week through the house. And it's going to be priced below fair market value. And people are going to say, wait a minute, first, what's wrong with the house? Which is why they're all going to show up. Because they're going to say, that house, this neighborhood, that location, at this price, Tom Ferry must be an idiot. They're going to say things like that. But then they're going to show up and go, wait a minute, this home is remarkable. And at this price, and then they're going to look at the number of people in the house. And guess what their smart agents are going to say? We're going to be in a bidding war. So how badly do you want this house? And we may get 5 offers, 6 offers, 7 offers. So the question you have to ask yourself tonight in terms of pricing is, you want to create a situation where we have multiple offers, a couple offers, or waiting for an offer?
Multiple offers.
Okay, so instead of maybe pricing it high, let's be counterintuitive and price it below fair market value. And remember, you don't have to accept any offer. You're empowered.
Okay.
My job, though, is to get you the highest possible net proceeds for the home. And I know if I start here, we chase the market. I know if we start here, we're going to have good activity. But if we go below a home like yours, I mean, it's going to be, metaphorically, blood in the ocean with sharks. You with me on this?
I'm with you on that.
And my job, and that's a horrible example, but my job is to try and create that frenzy so people are writing offers that you're satisfied with. So you were thinking 369?
Yeah.
Why don't we start right at like 329? It's going to create a frenzy.
All right, let's do that.
Press hard, lots of copies, buddy.
Okay.
Boom. All right, so another example, and you've seen me do that on the Tom Ferry Show before, and we have clients in New York City that are doing that at $2 million sales prices using that 3 pricing strategy. Strongly recommended. What's number 3?
You know, Tom, we're just not ready to pull the trigger down. I need some time to think about it.
I understand. So, so since two minds are always better than one, what specifically, I mean, I honor that.
Yeah.
What specifically do you need to think about?
Oh, it's just that it's a timing. It's kind of the holidays. We have Thanksgiving coming up.
Sure.
And then we have Christmas.
Yes.
I have a huge family.
Yes.
I'm Chinese, so we have big parties and
Yes.
big people all the time.
Yes.
So I'm just thinking it might be better if we waited to January.
I understand. So here's the good news. Whatever you want to do is entirely fine with me. Does that make sense? If you want to list it now or you want to list it then. But let's talk about timing.
Okay.
And again, whatever you want to do is fine. In the fourth quarter, the number of homes that are on the market drops for exactly what you're bringing up. People are thinking about the holidays. I'm thinking about the holidays. You're thinking about the holidays. A lot of people are. The number of homes drop, and everyone says, I'm going to put it on in January. I'm going to put it on in springtime. And I'm doing this for a reason, Ryan, because this represents the number of homes that are on the market for the same number of buyers that are always there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it really comes down to this. If there was an advantage to putting it on the market now, selling it because there's less inventory and you guys have a magnificent home,
Yeah.
and then timing the negotiations and the close, or maybe a rental where we lease the property back and we get it for a couple of months for free as an example. If we can create a scenario like that, would that be of interest? If we can get you a fantastic price and the right terms in the fourth quarter, that's an option. Or we put it on the market when everybody else does. And it's basic supply and demand.
Yeah.
Less homes on the market, same number of buyers. Ready? Lots more homes on the market, less number of buyers. I'm here to serve. What would you like to do?
I think we could deal with putting it on the market now.
Okay. And again, the worst case scenario is if it doesn't go under contract, guess what we can do? We can turn it off.
Okay.
Okay, we can turn it off. I mean, worse things have happened.
Okay.
What would be perfect is that we stage the home, we do all the things we discussed in our marketing plan, how we unveil the property, we get it under contract in the first 30 days, and then in the middle of that, we're negotiating, ready? Hey, you guys can't move in right away. They want to enjoy the holidays. You guys can take possession January 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. These are all negotiation points. Now, if we can't get what we want, do we have to accept the offer?
No.
No. Right? And if you choose to put it on the market in January, I'm fine with that as well.
Okay.
I'm your real estate agent. I'm your professional. I'm here to serve.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Totally.
But I want to just give you the lesser homes on the market, the same number of buyers versus lots of homes on the market, and that we can negotiate those, renting back your property, which it happens.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Totally.
So what are you guys comfortable doing?
As long as we could do that, it's kind of a no-brainer. I think I could just put it on the market now.
Cool. Yeah. So the most important thing, and I know, especially as this market, maybe for some of you watching this, is that there's always this pressure to close now and to get it now, and I think there's just a powerful way to be, which is I'm here to serve, I'm here to help. So whether you want to do it now or do it later, but it's our job to be the knowledge broker to explain what happens in this quarter versus that quarter. That could be summer versus spring versus fall versus you all know the deal. All right, what's objection number 4?
Tom, I love you. You're a freaking great agent. and there's just I promised to interview at least 2 other agents.
Wonderful.
And so I want to interview them next.
Okay.
And then
okay.
I feel really good about working with you, though.
Good. So was that a promise to yourself or was that a promise to them?
Both.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right. So no problem, Ryan. So let me ask you a question. What specifically are you looking for that was different? I'm just curious. I mean, we've got a natural rapport.
Yeah.
We didn't know each other prior to this.
I know.
But I've sold a bunch of homes in the area, and obviously you've checked out my track record. I actually checked out your track record as well.
Yeah.
I was on LinkedIn. I've seen what you've done. So, we've got some common ground. You've seen my marketing plan. You know my track record. What are you looking for specifically that would be maybe different or better?
Honestly, you're really good. I mean, I can't think of anything else.
You're kind. I mean, I take this, obviously you take your profession very seriously. I see that, and I do the same. So, we respect that.
Yeah.
But if there isn't something different, my question is, why waste the time?
It's a good question. Yeah, I mean...
I'm not asking you to break your promise.
Okay.
I'm asking you to consider, if there's nothing different, let's move forward.
Yeah.
I can't let you off the hook.
Yeah.
But I can call them out of professional courtesy. We've all done it to you know, before. I'll call and say,
Okay.
you know, hey Sarah, I was with Ryan. You know, we just had a natural connection. You know, if you got a buyer, please bring him in early. You know, let's do something. But you know, I strong-armed him. I can tell her that. I mean, it's professional courtesy amongst friends. You know, the harder part for them is that they walk into the appointment knowing that you and I are already here, and we've got this great rapport and connection and mutual respect, and then they're basically in the 8-ball position the entire time.
Yeah.
Right? Or worse, they might do something that they don't want to do. So I think we just remove that from the equation. If you're comfortable, we move forward. If you're not, you can interview them. I'm totally fine. What do you want to do?
You know, you're great. I could call them. I'll just tell them.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your business.
You're welcome.
Right now, listen, there's a lot of different ways you can do this. You never want to burn the other agents under any circumstances. You want to flush out, like, why? Like, was this a promise you made to them or a promise you made to yourself, right? You're not asking him to break his promise, but if you did pay attention, there was an embedded command used inside there for some of us that understand the Jedi language. So how did that feel? I'm just curious for you.
That actually felt really good. You know, I was feeling uncomfortable telling them that I wasn't going to see them.
Sure.
And then when you took that away from me and you said that I'll call them for you, then I thought to myself, nah, I'm not going to be weak like that.
Yeah.
I'm strong enough to call them and take responsibility for picking who I really want to pick.
Yep, that's exactly right. And that's by the way, that's the feeling you want the client to have. All right, so what's the last objection?
You already handled it. It was waiting for the holidays.
So let's play, all right, so let's do the holidays again specifically, all right? So Ryan, I can appreciate the fact you're thinking about waiting for the holidays. You know what? That's an excellent idea. Can I tell you why?
Sure.
A lot of agents are going to start pounding on you saying, you know, there's 9 reasons why you should list during the holidays and 7 advantages to listing during the holidays. And there are a lot of advantages. Supply and demand is different, but at the end of the day, you guys have a beautiful home and you've got a desire to do what you guys want to do during the holidays. So what I would love to do is I'd like a handshake or even a signed agreement that says, Tom, start marketing my house on January 7th or whatever day you choose. And then with your permission, I want to start doing some early pre-marketing as if we call it a pocket listing, right? And that's the kind of the phrase you'll hear where it's not inside the MLS, right? An agent has it in their pocket and they kind of go around to their best buyers and their best brokers and say, I've got this charming 3-bedroom, 2-bath bungalow at the corner of Humma Humma Nunna Nunna. You know what they all say? When's it coming on the market, Tom? When's it coming on the market? Because they got 2 or 3 buyers. With your permission, I'd like to get some of that going. And when the home is dressed up and ready to go for the holidays, nothing better than if with your permission, you can say no, having a few of those buyers see the house during the holidays.
Wow.
Because then we might have 3, 4, 5 buyers and 3 or 4 or 5 offers ready to go before we even hit the market. Does that make sense?
That totally makes sense.
And again, you're in control, you're in the driver's seat. You could say no to showings. Maybe we pick one day, right, where we just open up the house when it's really, you know, decked out for the holidays and let them just get a little frothy and then let them come back in January when it hits the market and they can start writing offers.
Yeah.
Either way is fine.
That sounds good to me.
Now, the reason I love that, guys, even though you saw me handle the objection earlier where I was doing the opposite, supply and demand, right, same number of buyers, lower number of inventory versus the, you know, what comes on in the market, is I like being different. If all the agents are saying 9 reasons to list during the holidays and 7 reasons why now, and oh my God, and they're doing that, and you know, the number of buyers that show up during the holidays are serious buyers. We all know these great scripts, these great dialogues, but oftentimes, like, it's like power to the people. Give the people what they want. Right? And then once he said yes, and I could say, let's get a signed agreement, I've got the listing, who cares if I put it on the market on January 7th or 6th or 4th, right? Versus having to do it right now. So again, playing the long game and trying to make it great for the client and good for my business to win. So those are my 5. Listen, just first of all, Ryan, first time on the Tom Ferry Show, congratulations. So my friends that are watching this, first of all, I would encourage you to go back to tomferry.com, go to the blog, search objection handling. There's a bunch of language patterns. I mean, we've both been well trained in all these different language patterns. He's teaching it to our team. So you heard the patterns, you experienced the patterns. It would be important for all of you to watch. Go back to tomferry.com, go to the blog, do a search on objection handlers, watch a few of the episodes, read some of the stuff, look at some of the scripts and dialogues, but most importantly, know this. Knowledge equals confidence and ignorance equals fear, right? I was thinking about an episode I shot, this is almost a year ago, where I said to people, Like when I get an objection, I get excited, right? Because they want to do business with me.
Yeah.
They want to do, that's why they're saying, well, we're not sure, right? They want to do business, but they've got a question in their mind, and I frame it for myself emotionally that every objection is one step closer to a yes. And if I stay focused on giving the customer what they want, honoring where they're at, and then providing new information and new resources to make better decisions, then I win. And that's what it's all about, my friends. So thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to see your comments below. And by the way, post the objection you get the most so we handle that for them as well. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Remember always, your strategy matters. And now more than ever, Ryan Jono absolutely rules.
Okay, guys.
Hey,
Can you guys hear me?
yes.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, you had exposure to 3 different videos. The last one was by Tom Ferry, as you notice, right? What are some of the things you gathered from this? What is the takeaway from this video?
Good morning, Harry. This is Anthony. Good morning, everyone. One of the most common objections that I really learned from, and I got to actually exercise it, and I experienced it recently again, was the commission, reducing the commission. My latest listing that I just got last week, right before the seller was about to sign the agreement, he asked me, he says, is anything you can do on the commission? And right away, because I've learned this and I've studied this, right away, I was able to respond. And I told him, I said, well, I already gave you the lowest percentage that's available, which is 6%. 4% goes to my office, 2% goes to the buyer's agent office. In addition, I will work really hard to get full asking price, which will help you out financially. And he was pleased with that answer. You know, I didn't actually say no, but I did tell him that I gave him the lowest percentage rate for commission. And, you know, that made a big difference. So I say that to say this, that is, like you said, knowing what to say when you get these objections, and it seemed to work pretty well. So I thank you for this video, and so much more information, but I don't want to share it all. Thank you.
Okay, guys, thank you, Anthony, for sharing that. Many times, the seller is going to ask anyway because they know they need to negotiate, or else they feel that they didn't work hard for themselves. So they'll ask the question, and when you give them an answer, I would say maybe 60 or 70% of the time, there's no pushback. They just move forward. There are a certain number of times in which they're going to insist, and in which you need to know a lot of different ways to handle the same objections. You guys agree with me?
Yes.
Right? So that's
Yes.
that would normally happen. So answering the objections, guys, if you listen to Anthony, you'll hear that Anthony actually speaks with a lot of conviction, and he's very, very confident in what he's saying. And his answer is not something that he's, it's something that he responds pretty quickly and confidently with. Of course, that makes a huge difference. How do you get to that point?
By
How do you-
practicing, studying your scripts.
Exactly. So that's the only way you'll be able to get to that point. You have to practice those scripts. Anthony will tell you how much time he has spent actually practicing those scripts to get to the point where he's at today. All right, so that's one. All right, let's get another response. What else did you guys learn from this? We had 3 different videos, lots of information.
So what I get is that the amount of objections depends on the strength and quality of your presentation.
Okay, and that Mike Ferry says that the amount of objections you get depends on the strength and the quality of your presentation, right? How do you get to your presentation being of really, really high quality and to be really, really forceful. How do you get to that point?
Um, I guess you have to be really confident, but at the same time, you have to know what you're saying. And that comes with a lot of like you were saying earlier, a lot of practices and, um, just a lot of practicing.
Exactly, right? It's only when you start practicing this stuff, practice and practice, you get to the point where you actually know the business well enough that that when you go out there, you can actually make a strong presentation. And Mike Ferry said something else. He said, you know what? You work so hard. You call a lot of people. You talk to a lot of people. Then you finally get a couple of leads. You call those leads, you follow up with those leads sometimes for months. Then you get to the point where you get an appointment. Now you have an appointment to go on and you have 25, 30, $40,000 on the table. Now your strength of your presentation and your ability to answer the questions will determine whether or not you walk away from that, whether or not you walk away with that piece of business. Is that right? Right, guys?
Yes.
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 Now, you owe it to yourself, to your income, to your family. You owe it to yourself to become really, really good at this job. Right? So you really owe it to yourself to learn the presentation and practice it daily. Practice those objections. So when you do go out there and you find someone and you have that presentation, you'll be able to actually walk away with that listing. That takes a high level of skill to do that. And it takes only one or two slip up for you to lose that business. That's why you'll see me tell you guys, once I talk to you, you bring up situation to me and I said, find somebody else to go with you because I think you have a better chance of walking away with half of the money than walking away with no money at all, as far as the listing presentation goes. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
However, the challenge is, many times you're overconfident in what you feel, or you feel you're giving up something, which in my mind, you're not giving up anything. Because if you don't have the skills and build the skills to go and get the list, to get a listing signed, maybe once or twice you'll get a listing signed. But 8 out of 10 times, the listing is harder than you think it's going to be. And now you have to really work for it. And if you don't have the skills to work for it, you lose out that many times. Now, as far as listing goes, I said to you guys over and over again that every day you come across people, if you learn how to ask the questions, you will get lots of listing leads. They're all around you. Once you start to speak to your database, your past clients, your center of influence, once you start to speak to the people that you come in contact with on a daily basis, you will learn, you will get a lot of leads. The thing is, what do you do? Like right now, work in your database. How many of you are actually doing that? Now I'm sitting down with many of the agents to go over their production and go over the listings as well. And what I'm finding is probably maybe 60 or 70% of the listings I see in the office, it's coming from the past client center of influence. That's where most of it is coming from. You all have that past client center of influence. We have to learn how to work it. If you don't learn how to work it, it's not going to serve you. If you learn how to work it, it's going to serve you. All right. So coming back again, it's really important that you guys learn the script, learn the objection handling. How could you learn it? How would you learn it? What did Mike Ferry suggest for you to do?
You mentioned about looking yourself in the mirror as you read the scripts so that you feel more comfortable listening to yourself.
All right. So one thing he says, just put a mirror, right? So you can see yourself smiling.
Yes. Good morning, by the way.
Right?
Yes.
So you can see what you look like, right? Because,
yes.
You go to a listing presentation, you have to be in a you have to, you have to have your body language has to be a positive body language, right? So when you look at yourself in the mirror and you see yourself, not projecting that, then you need to know, okay, how do I project that? What else did he talk about in terms of learning the scripts? What do you need to do?
Well, I don't know if it's exactly along those lines, but I remember Tom Ferry brought out something about showing value in your presentation. Whereas, like just like anything else, we'll pay a lot of money or top dollar for something that we see value in. If they don't see value, they're not gonna want. They're gonna beat you up on commissions. So in order to avoid that, yeah, obviously you have to show value in your presentation, and make them believe that you can get the job done, and that they'll have no issue with anything you say.
Okay, and that's a really good point. That's a really good point too, right? But the point I was looking for, that's a good point. But the point I was looking for is, Mike Ferry says you got to practice this thing daily. Read your presentation, learn the scripts, right? Practice it, with your co-workers. So when you go out there in the real life, you know it so well, and you can present so well that you will get the listing. Now, how many of you guys are really practicing this stuff?
Well, I have been doing a lot of it on my own. I would print it out. I actually changed some of the wording just a little bit so that it wasn't so quirky, and it was something that I feel more easier reading, but I'm still getting the same point across. And I've been taking a copy with me anywhere I go. And if I'm sitting in the car for 10 minutes, wherever I'm at, if I have 10 minutes or more, I'll sit there and I'll just go through it. And I've been doing it a lot. I've recorded it on my phone and played it back in the car a lot. And now I find that I pretty much have the listing presentation script completely down, most of my objection handlers. And I'm working on the FISBOs as well, and the buyer prequals and the walk-in listing. And it's just so many of them. But like you said, the more you get down, the more you realize you don't have that far to go to be more comfortable with it. And I definitely feel comfortable with what I've learned so far. But it just like you said, it has to become second nature to you. And I feel like so far the big things for me is the listing presentation and the objection handlers have pretty much become normal conversation for me. So you're right. It really does work. You have to feel comfortable. And I'm finding that more and more every day.
Excellent. All right. I know we're getting close to the time. So in less than 5 minutes, we'll finish. What Mike Ferry says for you is that you get. Take a list of all the common objections for buyers and for sellers. And then you are going to formulate answers to those. Now, this is what I'm going to ask you guys to do. On Friday, we are going to have objection handling continue. And Christopher is actually going to be working with me on that. Now, whatever objections that you have, just write them down. We'll create a list of objections, and Krista will show you another way of how to handle those objections easily and effortlessly. So Friday morning, that's what we're going to do. We'll take the objections, the real objection that you have, or the real objections that we normally get out there, and you will say to Christopher, and he's going to show you the answers to those objections. He'll show you how he would answer them.
Okay.
Is that something that you guys want to listen to?
Yes, I like that.
That's really, really great tools. And it's a little different from the 12 objection handlers that you have, right? So again, that's a Mike Ferry tool that Christopher is going to teach you guys how to do. What your part is going to be is to list the objections so you can ask him, and he's going to show you what he would normally do to answer the objection. So that's the first thing. Christopher, are you on? Let's see if I see you. Christopher was on. I don't see him now, but he's already committed to do that. So that's one. The second thing I want you guys to do, I'm going to ask Sabrina to actually put these couple videos that we shared, to put it in a WhatsApp chat. I would like for you guys to go back Hey, Christopher,
Hey, good morning, guys.
I volunteered you to actually to answer objections, all the objections for sellers, seller objections. That's what we'll take care of on Friday.
Okay,
So 9:30 to 10:30. I'm asking them to write down all the objections that I have, and we got to practice it, right? The way that Ron Cronin teaches to do, ask 2 questions and then close on it.
great.
I want these agents to actually see how that's done effortlessly. All right, so
Great. Yeah, if you guys
guys,
get any objections, just write it down and send it to the email, to the office email, so we can have it compiled. Today is Wednesday, so if you can do it by tomorrow, so at least we can, write down all the responses. So when we have the class Friday, we can address every single one that you guys came up with, plus more.
all right, so what Christopher is asking you guys to do is to actually, any objections that you have, send it to Sabrina. She'll compile it and give it to Christopher, and Christopher's gonna handle those objections on Friday. He's gonna, good thing for that, he's gonna be able to have a chance to actually think it through, write the proper responses, so you will see all the objections you send. He's gonna be able to handle it. Okay, guys, is that gonna be benefit to you?
Yes, it is. I actually had one yesterday, so I'm going to email you that one. It was very interesting.
All right, that's very good. All right, so send your objections and we work on that. That's how we get better. All right, and also, like I said to you, go back and listen to those listen to those videos and make notes. There's a whole lot of stuff I didn't get a chance to go through. But what's the difference between an objection and a condition? Things like that. What are some of the rules about handling objections? I'm going to ask you guys about that as well. And one last thing I want to say, if you guys did take a look and see Tom Ferry, right? Tom Ferry and the other guy, in terms of their appearance, polo shirt and all of that, you think going out there looking like that in this marketplace, does that represent a professional real estate agent? Does that represent, or there is a better representation you can have? Well, Mike Ferry tells you when you go to presentation, part of your presentation is the way you dress, the way you look, the way you present yourself. Now, you have to present yourself like a professional that deserves to get that $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 commission. So that's where Mike Ferry differs from his son a lot. And Mike Ferry, of course, gets a whole different results from the coaching people that he does. Tom does a really good job too, but not quite as Mike does. So I want to point that out to you, right? So dressing up for the part is really, really important. And before you open your mouth, people are always judging you. So if you don't look the part, you already kind of lost some credibility. If you look the part, you have some credibility to go into the transaction. So you don't have to build that up because you already looked the part. All right, so those are some of the, give me your feedback. This week we've done so far, we've done a couple Zoom, and I'm seeing the attendance is higher. Tell me if you're getting something out of it, and I'll keep on doing something that's going to help everyone. I want to make this good. I want to make this better. I want to help you guys to get to the point where you could be active in the business and productive, where you're making income for yourself and the family. That's the goal. All right, so with that, that's what I have to share with you for now. On Friday, like I said, Chris is going to be doing his part. You do your part in sending the objection. I'm going to ask all of you guys. I have 20-something people on the line before, but right now I have 21. So I'm going to ask you, well, I'm one of those. So we probably have another 15, another 20 people there. I'm going to ask each one of you, send one objection for Chris so he can handle it. The other thing I have to say, for yesterday, we didn't get a chance to continue to actually do the email marketing sorry, the email signature. I want to show you guys how a professional email signature could put you in front of your client in a professional way. And even though it's not a professional, even though it has nothing to do with real estate, the people that you do business with, if you have a professional signature, will still see who you are. And it's going to be a reminder for them to actually, reminder that you are actually in the business, that they can send business to you, refer business to you. So I have Rashane putting that together. So look out for that email signature presentation. I'd like for you guys, it'll be half an hour long. I'd like for all of you guys to see it and actually copy it and put it to work for you. It's going to help you to build your business. All right, I have a lot more to say to you guys, but the time is running away from us. So I'm going to stop right here. Thank you guys. If you got anything out of this, go to the chat and just put a comment there that you did get something out of it. We'll keep on doing it. All right. Thank you very much for attending this webinar, and look forward to see you guys again on Friday. Okay, with that, I'm going to
Thank
close.
you, Harry.
Take care now.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Good.
Thank you, Harry.
Welcome.